What's up, guys? This is DC7 from the Good Looking Loser forums. This is my first video. It's gonna go with my blog that I just posted. I'm gonna make an assortment of blogs covering a variety of subjects in bodybuilding and dating and some other stuff in the future. And I think it's beneficial to have videos with it just for absorption purposes. I don't know, when I watch videos, I just like absorb the information a lot better versus just reading it off a screen. So I feel like I'm gonna make at least a video with every single blog if possible. Anyways, so this one's about bulking without getting fat. Um, Obviously, everyone, when they start their off season or their bulk, they don't want to get fat. You don't want to gain fat. The goal is to gain pure muscle, right? But honestly, it's not as easy as that. A lot of people don't know how to approach it in an intelligent way or an efficient way for that matter. Um, Usually, the common thing is most people will just start off with a huge surplus of calories and not really know how to begin other than to add tons of food on top of what they were eating during their cut phase or their maintenance phase or whatever they were doing. What you should be doing, guys, in my opinion, is everyone finds their BMR ahead of time, their basal metabolic rate, which is basically your maintenance calories. And a lot of people will just like chuck 500 calories on top of that and start from there, or even 1,000. And I honestly don't recommend that way. It's a really quick way to pile on fat, and honestly, it's not a good way to go about it, as you're going to be pushing 4,000 calories pretty quickly. And I don't know about you guys, but I just simply can't eat that much on a daily basis without having to make trips to McDonald's or throwing in shitty food into my diet, which isn't the way to go about your bulk without getting a bunch of unnecessary fat that you're just going to have to strip off later. Start with a 200 to 300 calorie surplus, reassess after a week or so, and then go from there. Other thing is, you guys should start using the mirror as your guide. A lot of guys, they look at the scale every single day. They wake up, if the scale's going up, they think, okay, great, I'm making gains. My diet's working, my training's working, everything's in place, and they continue the way they are. But guys, you need to look in the mirror. If you're starting to look shittier, then something needs to change in your diet or your training or your rest or something. Like, body composition is the number one thing when you're gaining weight. If it's not good, lean tissue, then you're not going about it the right way. Another thing is duration of the program. A lot of guys, I get a lot of PMs on Good Looking Loser about guys who want to do like short mini bulks and mini cuts because they want to accomplish a lot of things at the same time. Like, obviously, separating a bulk into like a 4 week period and then a cut into a 4 week period, in theory, it sounds like a good way to do a bunch of things in a few months. But realistically, guys, if you want to make long-term progress and not just spin your wheels, you're gonna have to dedicate a few months at least to a strict, like, focused off-season bulk period. Like, if I wanted to gain a few pounds of muscle, well, at like my experience level, it's a bit different. But I mean, even if I was a newbie, I wanted to gain 5 to 10 pounds muscle, I'd probably put aside 6 months to my program of slowly increasing my caloric intake, slowly increasing the weights that I'm using in the gym, increasing my frequency, doing everything I can to slowly increase it without putting on fat. The guys who want to do a lot of stuff, like if you want to put on a lot of weight in a 4 week period, it's just gonna be shitty weight, guys. And even if you do it the smart way, you're just not gonna have enough time to put on any appreciable mass that's gonna really lead to long-term, like, improvements in your physique. You're gonna want to set aside at least 3 to 4 months to a focused bulk where you're tapering up your calories about 100 every time you plateau. I'd probably start with a surplus of 200 to 300, and each time you notice you're starting to plateau, maybe throw another 100 calories of carbs around your workout, or increase the protein a little bit. Maybe throw some healthy fats onto your meats. It's not that hard to put a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil on some of your chicken breasts or your ground beef. It can be as easy as that to break through a plateau, guys. And the guys who are pushing 4,000, 5,000 calories a day, I honestly don't think you need that much to grow. Like maybe for some guys with crazy metabolisms, yes, but for somebody like me, like when I do a bulk, I start at maybe like I weigh 210. I'm like 7 to 8% body fat ish. And if I was to do a bulk right now, I'd probably start at maybe 30, 100, 3,200 calories, and that'd be enough for me to start getting the scale to go up and consistently throughout the week. And by the end of it, I'd reassess how much weight I gained, what like my body composition looks like. I'd look in the mirror, see if anything needs to be switched around or anything, and I'd go from there. If I needed more calories at that point, then I'd add them in. But I don't think throwing like 1,000 calories on top of your maintenance is in any kind of way beneficial for, like, maybe in the short term you might put on some quick mass, but it's not going to be something you can keep up long term that's going to consistently produce good results. You're going to start putting on more fat than muscle. Your insulin sensitivity is probably going to go down quite a bit as you start pounding carbs more and more unnecessarily. And once your fat gains start increasing more than your muscle gains, say you gain 10 pounds and more of it is fat than muscle, you guys know that it's probably time to do a mini diet, resensitize yourself to insulin, and get back down to a lower body fat percentage and start again. Because if you're bulking up to 15-20% body fat, guys, it's just your body doesn't pack on lean tissue properly at a high body fat percentage. Like if you want to start a bulk at 15 to 20%, you're just going to gain more fat than muscle, in my opinion. You need to start off, get as low as you can, get at least a single digit body fat percentage, and work your way up slowly. Add slow tapering calories until you start to plateau, or you notice that your body fat is creeping up to like the 10 to 12% range. At that point, then you take a step back and you reassess, and you probably do a mini diet back down to the singles, and then you work your way back up and just rinse and repeat. Honestly, there's not really much, there's not a whole lot of secrets, but a lot of the knowledge that is kind of necessary is kind of overlooked by a lot of guys. A lot of guys think it's a bulk phase. Oh, I'll just eat a ridiculous amount of calories, and the more calories are going to equate to more muscle gains. But it doesn't really work like that, guys. Like obviously you can throw 7,000 calories at your body, and you're gonna put on muscle and you're gonna get stronger, but you're just gonna become a fat, bloated disaster. Like you don't want to look like that. And you're just gonna shoot yourself in the foot. You're making more work for yourself in the long term. You have to cut all that fat off. And think about how aggressive of a cut that's gonna need to be if you're at 25% body fat to get back down to 8, or back down to 7, 6, 5, or even if you're in a prep, get lower than that. Like, it's not the smart way to approach things, guys. And I'm gonna make a part 2 about this as well. This was just like an extremely general first like look at your diet and your training and how you should approach the off season kind of thing. But in further sections, I'm going to be covering like macronutrient breakdowns, like what's favorable in the off season for your goals. Should you be doing cardio? Cheat days, how many times a week do you think you should do it? Cheat days, is that something you should be incorporating? What else can I think of? What kind of supplements you should be taking in the off season versus prep or cutting, whatever you guys do, stuff like that, guys. Like a lot of the information isn't, like, I feel like there's a lot of readily available information online, but it's kind of like scattered all over the place. Like I know when I was starting out, I had to scour across forums and talk to knowledgeable people and kind of like build up my knowledge like in bits and pieces before I had like a working thorough understanding of how I could do my bulks and my cuts and like approach my diet, and like not know, to make sure I know what the hell I'm doing before I kind of like write something out for myself. Like I remember when I first started, I used to sit down on the computer and write out a plan, and it would have like 3 weight gainer shakes in it and like like ground beef, not even lean ground beef, just like ground beef in general, like shitty fat ground beef. Throwing on barbecue sauce by the tablespoon on every single meal, just pounding myself with sugar and just getting like stupidly fat. Wasn't the smart way to do it. Not to mention you guys that are probably, a lot of guys do this to look good too, guys, and like I know you bust your ass in the gym, or at least you should be. And if you're doing that, you don't want to look like crap year round. Like you do this to look good, right? So why would you sacrifice that look? Like obviously in the bulk phase, you're gonna look a bit softer. You're not gonna be as defined and cut out. But I mean, like, you want a presentable physique that's still aesthetic and looks good year round, regardless if you're trying to pack on tissue or if you're trying to cut down. So like, I feel like once you kind of get to the point where you notice your abs, you should never lose sight of your abs completely, guys, and use that as well as the mirror as your gauge to see if you should be cutting back down or not. If you notice your abs are completely gone, it's time to cut back down. I'm going to be writing out a part 2, and I'll release some more in-depth videos soon. And let me know if you guys like it. Comment if you want, like it. I'll see you guys. You guys can check me out on the forum, Good Looking Loser. And if you want to PM me there or email me, my email is dc7gll@gmail.com.